Hello everyone, this is Rangadad. It's not financial advice, this is just the way I'm looking at the market. First of all, Joshua, if you listen to this bloody trading competition is frustrating AF. The market's just moves so freaking slowly. They limit you to these assets, which all except for the Japanese, the Nikkei basically, they all mainly trade like in bigger volumes in my sleeping time, but still managed to get a couple of decent wins yesterday. So that got up to just under 252, I think, yesterday. But oh wow, it was a hard slog. I'm pissed though because I had a long on oil that I closed yesterday at the end of the day. Just got a little bit out of it and didn't worry about it. And nat gas, I freaking, where was I? I bought in on this little dip here on nat gas because it was looking strong. Like it looked like it was going to break out, and it kind of did. And then I ended up closing it somewhere in here for like a couple of dollar profit. And yeah, it would have been a mega trade if I had to let it go overnight. But I just wasn't sure on the markets, and you can't leave trades like that overnight. So that was a bit annoying, but generally getting the right directions on trades. Just it's going to be a hard slog, but that was, I don't know, 0.6% or something on that particular day. And they limit how much you can trade as well. So like literally one Nikkei, so 34 grand trade. They limit it to around that sort of dollar value for all of them. So yeah, thanks for that. What a pain in the ass. Actually, that's not looking great, that trade. I'm going to get rid of that. Don't know why I had that going last night. Must have had a standing order there that triggered. Actually, no, I think I got into that back over here somewhere. And obviously I didn't have the right take profit on it. Anyway, I'll keep going with it, see what happens. I think the winners only end up getting like 6% or something. So 10 days of what I did yesterday would probably go all right. All right, the leap. Oh, the other thing is I have started a copy trading account. Don't worry too much about this. I had an up and down day yesterday, and that obviously doesn't take into account the current open trade, which has a stop loss, which would bring that right back up into positive territory. So yeah, I'm still getting used to the whole system. Don't throw any money at it yet, but you can follow along and see what I trade and how I trade without actually putting any money into it yet. So yesterday was an interesting day, mainly because we had, hang on, I'll go back to Bitcoin. So I think yesterday's video was somewhere around here. Yeah, somewhere in here. And it was looking like we were getting at least close to a top. I'm pretty sure I actually did a short in here somewhere, took some profits, and then I started shorting again in here somewhere, or even in here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was looking at this head and shoulders. So this looked like a pretty good head and shoulders forming, like textbook kind of head and shoulders. It had targets below that were similar to the height of this above. Like everything was looking good about this, and then we had this candle sort of break out below. Obviously, it didn't close below that, below the 800 EMA, and the 800 EMA ended up providing support the whole way along. But yeah, I was pretty heavily short by the time it got into this area, and I stupidly got overconfident with the short too. And I was shorting 4 different assets, and one of them was WIF. And fucking, of course, when Bitcoin's doing this, WIF just went through the roof, and it actually made it hard to hedge it. And I ended up closing my Sol, ETH, and Bitcoin trades at a loss, and held onto the WIF one because we were in this region here, and I knew we had a bit of liquidity up above here, which like a few large orders above there that it looked like it wanted in the end. And the liquidation heat map, I was basically I was worried Bitcoin was going to come up into and liquidate all this, not just this little chunk here. I knew I thought 57,300 would be the level around here, but turns out it wanted a little bit more, and the main factors seemed to be the large orders that were sitting in there. As you can see, there wasn't much above that. And look, there were some vector candles and stuff over here as well, which it's now recovered. But yeah, that was silly, doing that many different shorts at once. But it worked out. I held onto the WIF trade mainly because with cross margin on, it could have gone up to like $2 or $3 or whatever. And I knew that if it did come down, it would pretty much cover the losses that I had to take on the others and then some. It wasn't a matter of if, it was kind of a matter of when, just because of the amount of run up that we actually had on Bitcoin. So I've taken some profits on this now. Probably see what happens here. If we do drop further, I sort of would expect it to come in here. I've got a big take profit down there. I might just let it run. This trade's now well and truly paid for itself. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I've got $500 odd in there, and you guys can follow along if you want. So in terms of where we're going next, this does look attractive. There's not a lot of reason for it to come into here in terms of liquidity. Like, yeah, that there is some there, and look, there's vector candles in here. So if we break below this level and we start to flush, well, actually, if we break below this level, then next stop is probably back into this wick here. And it wouldn't surprise me if it actually stopped there and then reversed again, but you'd have to wait and see what the market's doing it then, and the momentum and the fear and panic that would be in the marketplace. So what it does look like we're forming, and sorry, I'll just jump into here. So an interesting look at this is like there's plenty of orders down here. There's still a little bit above as well. There is a big chunk of orders down to that 46, 785. So kind of plays in with the targets we've been looking at around the 44 to 45 area. Yeah, that if we do sort of break to new lows, that would be a good area for it to have a bounce. Okay. But that I think would be a pretty good buying opportunity because the from the Caprioli investments indicator of the which one is it that he's got the price of mining Bitcoin or something. I think that sits at about 44k at the moment. And generally, if it gets below that, it doesn't get below there for very long throughout Bitcoin's history. So not as many big orders coming in as we saw on the way down, but I have actually changed my settings too, so it could just be related to that. Just because I was getting a sea of blue and yellow in here and couldn't really make much sense out of the levels. So this gives me a bit more definition of levels at the moment. But for the time being, wouldn't surprise me if we come in a little bit further down just into this wick here. If we break below that wick, then I think realistically we may get another bounce somewhere around the 54k mark would be a good area for a bounce actually. So looks like it potentially wants to form a base here. Again, you'd be looking for this to essentially form a bit of a W pattern like that. That will be a trade I'll be looking out for. Actually, yeah, I might even get out of that whiff trade and look for another entry point. Yeah, momentum's. I mean, it's kind of primed. We were very low on the cyclic RSI into that dip there. So it would suggest that we have a bit of a bounce here. Stochastic momentum's got a fair bit to go to the upside. And BBWP is coming down, which generally means a mean reversion play. So bit of a bounce here. You'd be looking for it to sort of grind a bit sideways and then pop back up if you're bullish on Bitcoin. Actually looks like it. There's plenty of interest in it at the moment. So I think just go. Oops, hang on. Let's do just do a quick run through these because I want to go to another Twitter space, but interesting if NASDAQ closes around this level. So it's definitely not a panic level at the moment. Bit of a sell-off, not too worried. It does look like a rejection of this lower band of the channel, but we still got the 200 EMA and SMA in there as well. The fact that it hasn't sort of dropped and flushed below these levels doesn't worry me too much. And if we close sort of above the open of yesterday, it's not a bad day, bit of a retrace. But it's certainly something we sort of keep our eye on. Much lower volume as well. So if there was going to be a massive sell-off, I would expect it to be on bigger volume. And And look, I mean, BBWP is very high at the moment, so a pullback into 50 EMA and things like that is definitely possible here. And what probably the key level to actually look for if this does want to completely crash is to come up into the 50 EMA, into the Gaussian channel, and then break below. That's probably more likely, in my view, as to what would actually happen if we were to see further downside. And look, further downside from here is pretty much you're talking bear market territory. And I just don't think we're there yet. S&P 500, it's back in our sort of zone of like lots of volume in here. That is a pretty nasty looking candle at the moment, but still not. I still don't think it's panic stations by any means. Just look at the volume on the SPY. Yeah. Still low volume. Yeah, I mean, it could come back into the 200 EMA as well. That wouldn't be a bad level. There's a gap close there as well, just over here. So, yep, could do, which, to be honest with you, if Nasdaq and S&P sort of reconfirmed around the lows of this candle, that probably would bring Bitcoin back down to the lows that we saw the other day. So it's something definitely to keep an eye on. Equal weight's doing the same thing, which does mean everything's following suit at the moment. Equal weight NAS is actually kind of worse. That's more of a tech sell-off across the board, which is interesting. Could be driven by the results we saw the other day. I don't think I saved it. Yeah, I didn't. What a dickhead. SMCI got slammed and got slammed. Just have a quick look at them and see what they're doing today. Wow. Okay. Oh shit. Airbnb is below those levels. Okay, Airbnb's got smacked in the face. Just gonna have a look. Technicals. Have a look at. Sorry. More financials. There we go. So price to earnings ratio on Airbnb isn't that bad. Like, I think this is just a general market tanty at the moment. They didn't. I think they declared a slightly lower dividend than what they forecast. But these guys are cash positive. They got a freaking insane margin. Their price to earnings ratio of 17 is actually not bad. That's getting pretty close to buying territory, like a really good bargain territory. So Airbnb kind of suggesting that there's a bit of panic selling going on still. Unless I'm missing something, but their financials look fine, hey. They don't have a huge amount of debt. Like their free cash flow is higher than their debt. So I don't see why people got so cranky at them on earnings. Like literally slightly lower dividend or earnings, but the actual revenue was still up. and it was a surprise to the upside on revenue. So anyway, going to be some bargains coming up, I would think, pretty soon. And when you look at price to earnings ratio, particularly forward guidance price to earnings, anything in the 14s has been a pretty good buy zone for the market throughout history. So this looks like it's wanting to come a lot further and wipe off all those gains. So, okay. This one is probably a little bit worse, and this would be causing a fair bit of concern. Now, these guys supply to NVIDIA. NVIDIA's earnings comes up in a couple of weeks, is it? Wednesday 28th. Yeah. Shit, I'll be in France then. So 20 days. That's a long time to wait. I was kind of hoping that that'd be sooner, and then there'd just be a sell into NVIDIA earnings, and then everything else would buy back up at that point. But I hope we don't sell for 20 days, because that will change my outlook on the market. But, you know, ARK-K's back inside that channel. Apple's had a decent bounce. Might struggle against the 50 EMA there. What's that? Dividends. Yeah, okay. Could be a buying into the dividends thing. Their earnings was okay, like nothing silly there. But they're just paying the price of the overall market dip at the moment, it would look like. Percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average has actually bounced a little. Dixie has bounced a little as well, which, that's normally not great for things like stocks and oil and stocks and gold. Gold's had a big volume day. That's interesting. And it is below that support line, which obviously these support lines are regions, but if it breaks below the 50 EMA there, then it's probably, it doesn't look great now. It looks like you got a big ass head and shoulders and potential W pattern forming there as well. Sorry, not head and shoulders, fucking double top. So yeah, breaks below this level here, and it's probably going back down to this support level here, 2292. Which silver got slammed yesterday as well a bit. That's not a great sign, closing below the 200 EMA. But we are still just sitting on this support here, so hopefully it does have a little bump. Oil looks like it's found that base there. That's a pretty big. Why is that? Okay. Don't know why that's showing volume. Candle. Anyway. Yeah, look, oil looks like it's going higher. I probably will place a trade on that in the competition. I'd be looking at, this run's pretty much the same. I'd be looking at back into the 50 there. Pretty good target, 78.4 level. You're going to have some EMAs coming into that level as well. Yeah, copper's still struggling, so copper needs to find a bounce here, I think. That would recover this vector candle here, a little bit below the box that we were hoping to get turnaround in, but still, I think it's just the hangover from what we're seeing. I'm not trying to be bullish here, but at the same time, when things are really shitting the bed, you've got to try and look on the positive side to be able to actually find those bottoms, because you don't want to be shorting the bottom either. So yeah, yield curves still coming down. If we close below that, that'll probably provide some news events as well, but I don't think the market will worry too much about that. High yield is still sort of up as well, so the bond market doesn't look necessarily like it's throwing in the towel yet. Like, if high yield is still elevated, then I'm less concerned about it. The other thing is the skew is still heading up. It has sort of gone a little bit sideways today, so make of that what you will. Probably still a little bit further it can go, but we are getting a bit of a turnaround in global equity as well. So if that bounce can sort of be sustained, then I think that would support the markets, and global equity is what is going to support the markets here. It looks like that Japanese yen carry trade has pretty well wound down. I haven't seen any significant signs of it today. We didn't get a massive sell-off in Bitcoin yesterday or anything like that during the day. So XLY, XLP, yeah, I mean, it's doing the same thing as the rest of the market. So, all right. DAX seems to have found a bottom as well. And the Nikkei seems to have sort of, it's doing pretty similar to Bitcoin at the moment, but that was a good trade yesterday. I'll be on the lookout for this one again today. Actually, on that one, this is the power of the vector candles and your EMAs. So I saw this pink vector candle here and saw it starting to go back up. I longed it there. I took profit just after, like, basically the top of that candle there, in this one. It wasn't running like it ran in this candle, so I just took profits. And then I actually shorted it. Shorted it in here somewhere, just with stop loss above the 800 EMA. And my target was just 50% of this candle, just to get a bit of extra out of it. Probably not the smartest short, really, but I had the risk reward was okay, and ended up paying out anyway. So, but if you look left here, it pretty well stopped at the vector candles, and there wasn't much to recover above that. So there's actually not a lot of vector candles until you get up to 37.5 here. So that's going to be something I'll look for today in particular. If this looks like it's going to run again, then I would expect it to at least get to 35.9 and then move up again. So overall, it, choppy and sideways, but generally it looks like the markets are trying to find their bottom. Just do a quick one on the 15-minute on the NAS. Yeah, NAS looks like it. That actually looks like a big bear flag. And it looks like it's, let's go, let's just do this. Okay, that is a little bit more concerning there. A lot of people will be looking at that as a bear flag in here. That's pretty textbook bear flag, and there is a lot of vector candles in here to recover. So I hate to say it, but Bitcoin's probably going to come down more today. Nasdaq's probably going to come down more. We did in the after hours session. So we gapped up, didn't we? Yeah. Yesterday we actually ground up and Nasdaq gapped up. Yeah, big gap up. Big sell off at the end of the day as well. So maybe Nasdaq will actually just have another gap up day and then sell off more into this level here. But shit, it is postured at the moment for more downside, and that's something you got to take into consideration with Bitcoin as well, because it will probably follow suit. Whether it finds a bottom here or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But I have a funny feeling that it will, probably somewhere around the 424 mark on the Qs. But it is stochastic momentums to the downside. The only thing here is volatility is dropping now. On the 15-minute anyway. It's still high on the daily, so yeah, look, VIX jumped a little. I don't know. It could be a massive, like if this is a fake out on the Qs, then it's a massive fake out. That would be not unheard of, but would be pretty significant. It also kind of makes sense to come back up into these EMAs before it really dropped further. So it might be a case of where they have that channel. Yeah. So it might be a case of after hours we recover this vector candle here, and then we actually over the next day or so we head back up into these EMAs, and then from there you really got to keep an eye on the market, but it's postured to the downside at the moment still. It's just a matter of how long it wants to stay that way. And whether the Japanese carry trade is still ongoing, the wind down of it anyway. All right, that was a bit jumpy around, but I think hopefully, I was going to have a quick look at, oh yeah, that kind of looks like it's almost like a pennant, a bear pennant on Bitcoin there. Fuck, I want to get out of that whiff trade actually. Oh no, it's all right. I mean, good spot for a turnaround on Bitcoin here, just up at least into this sort of area up in here, 56.5. Which, if we're closing at 56.5, again, I'm more confident on the market overall because we'll be closing above those key levels that we've got. Really, anything above this line here, I'm still okay with on the daily close. Which, if we just look at the daily, just to give you a look at that again. So this is on CME. It's around the 200 EMA still as well. So again, overall market's selling. I'd love to see CME come back inside the 40 or the minus 40 level on this, cross the upside. Especially with elevated BBWP, that would be a pretty good sign, I think. Might have to wait another day for that to actually happen. But yeah, we still haven't obviously closed that gap. We've still got island reversal. So for the time being, we definitely got to be watching ourselves for moves to the downside. And obviously a short-term target is around that 52 level. A lot of volume there. Support here as well. So if we look at the shorter time frames on that, what's around 52? So we do have that there, but you're probably looking at that. Yeah, 51.9 would be vector candle recovery on the 5 minute there. So that a pullback to there wouldn't surprise me over the next couple of days. At the moment, though, just sort of looking for turnarounds and pullbacks. As I said yesterday, it still looks like pullbacks are being met with buy demand. Yeah, this is looking like a pretty good spot for a long, to be honest. Might wait for one more turn down of the cyclic RSI. BBWP is increasing on the 5 minutes. You got stochastic momentum is up and above zero. CCI is up and below zero. That's still low, really. That's not a bad spot for a long. I mean, it's probably early. It's an early call. May have to hedge that if it breaks below here, obviously. In fact, I'd probably just reverse it if it broke below there. But yeah. Looking reasonable for a long here. Okay, so they're the kind of things you're looking for in terms of structure. This was actually an M pattern on the way down. Good M pattern here, broke, retrace, right back into this level, and then move to the downside. So very strong patterns, those. Yeah. That'll do for today. Hopefully that is useful. Sol looks like it wants to run. The altcoins are running hard if Bitcoin goes up. And funnily enough, they're not dropping as much when Bitcoin drops, seemingly. I mean, percentage-wise, they're probably dropping more, but they seem to be doing it a bit slower for the most part. At least WIF was, anyway. All right.